Hello, everyone. Welcome to our digital marketing masterclass on how to attract, engage, and convert car wash customers through your website. I'm Rachel, our marketing coordinator here at Rinsed, and I'm so excited to have the opportunity to welcome you all to today's awesome session. So if you were here for our first digital marketing masterclass back in December, welcome back. We're super excited to have you. But if this is your first time, also welcome. You're definitely in for a great session today. So today I have the pleasure of introducing you to two awesome car wash marketing experts. So Braxton and Thomas, do you guys want to hop on the stage and introduce yourselves?
Sure. Hey, hello. Yeah, my name is Braxton McKee. I've been an operator in the industry for a little over 5 years. So I know what it's like to be on both sides of the fence here, and I'm excited to be at Rinsed and help with e-commerce conversion today.
I'm Thomas Truitt. I started Make Me Modern about 12, 13 years ago. I primarily build, my company primarily builds websites. We do a lot of SEO, digital marketing. And about 3 or 4 years ago, we started working with Braxton on several projects, and we've probably done a few dozen since then. So happy to be here today and talk about modern car wash websites and SEO and digital marketing and all things like that.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Super excited to have you both here. So before I pass it on to our experts, just wanted to share a quick agenda of what we're going to cover today. So first, we're going to break down exactly what it means to attract, engage, and convert customers through your website. We'll explain why this matters and the must-haves on your website for each of these things. Then we're going to go into a website review. Our experts are going to analyze a few car wash websites and point out exactly what's working and what's not on each of these. So you guys have some actionable insights that you can take and implement on your websites after this event. And then lastly, we'll have a Q&A. So if you have any questions throughout the session, feel free to drop them in the Q&A chat, and we'll get to as many as we can at the end of today's session. All right. So let's jump in. So first, Thomas, I'm going to pass it over to you to talk about attracting customers via your website.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. So what we're going to be talking about today is what I often call and refer to as the big three. So you've got attract, which is getting people to your website. The most like the sexiest way to do that is SEO, right? Which is basically where you're ranking well, you're getting people coming to your website, and you're not really having to lift a finger usually to do that. That's if you're doing SEO the right way. So that's attraction, attracting people to your website. The next thing is going to be the engaging people on your website. So the user experience, right? So once they're on your website, and then the third thing is going to be conversion. Converting people. So those are all the things that we're going to talk about. But to start, we're going to dig into SEO. So that's the first part of the big three. That's attracting people to your website. So there's several things I'm going to hit on here. The must-haves are broken down. We're going to hit on those quickly, and then we're going to hit on some common pitfalls as well. So the first thing that I'm going to lead off with here is going slightly out of order. Is I want to talk about technical SEO. So in today's modern age, technical SEO, I can't emphasize it enough. You have to be doing a deep dive. Google states that there's over 200 things that factor into your rankings online, and just scratching the surface isn't going to cut it anymore. It used to work, 10 years ago when I started doing this, but now there are so many moving parts and SEO is so nebulous that you really have to be doing a deep dive. The next aspect of it, and by the way, you're going to see a lot of things tie in together as we walk through these big three. Site speed is a great example of that. Site speed is going to pop up for attract. It's also going to pop up for the user experience, and it's going to pop up for conversion as well. So next thing we'll hit on is site speed. So, one of the things, especially for car wash websites, is that modern imagery is important, right? You want beautiful images, you want clean cars, you want smiling faces. And you may even want video. A lot of, car washes, like a car wash industry is a great example of a website where you can use like a video montage of like cars going through the tunnel and, people vacuuming and all that kind of stuff. So, but when you're doing that, with great power comes great responsibility. You need to make sure that you're leveraging the latest technologies to compress images and make sure they're loading quickly, and videos and all that kind of stuff. So site speed is really important. And again, you just have to be using best in class technologies and techniques for things like caching and compression and minification. Really, there's no excuses anymore. Like, there's all the technologies and methodologies exist. You just need to be using them. So the next thing I want to hit on is AI adoption. So this has been a really big one in the last year or so. I use AI all the time. My team uses AI all the time, like Chat GPT and stuff like that. So basically last year we started tracking across our network how often AI bots were pinging our websites and scraping their content. And we've seen like an explosion in the last 18 months of that volume of AI crawling our website. So we know that AI, we know that AI is like here now, and we know that it's like here to stay, is our opinion on it. So with that being said, making sure that your website is optimized for these AI bots that are going to be crawling your website and, making recommendations to the person that's, doing that prompt. And that leads us into the next thing, which is crawling optimization. So basically, as part of SEO and part of technical SEO, you want to make sure that you're like bundling up and packaging up the content on your site and serving it to these bots and serving it to Google on a silver platter. The most common way to do that is what we call schema data. So it's, again, just kind of like bundling it all up. And it's, basically what we have to do is we have to think like a machine and less like a marketer, if that makes sense. Like, we want to make sure that your website that the people see speaks to people, but we want to make sure that the code on the back end of the site speaks to, the bots and the crawlers and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of that's like the very technical aspects of SEO. And then I'm going to turn quickly to what we call like local SEO and off-page SEO. So those are the things that you see in the left column here, which would be like Google My Business, right? So having a Google My Business profile for each of your locations is critical. You have to have that. And then really the biggest players in the industry are monitoring what's called their NAP, their name, address, and phone number, and making sure that all of the platforms across the internet, all their different review sites and, all those different platforms have accurate and uniform information. So that's something that you need to be staying on top of as well. And then positive reviews are a big aspect of that. So making sure that, you're getting reviews, you are able to, showcase these reviews and build your credibility. So that's really, really important from a off website SEO point of view. Braxton, I'm going to quickly hit on some common pitfalls that we see in this regard. Is there anything that you want to add to any of that?
No, I mean, relating a lot of this stuff back to the car wash industry, some of the people watching this may not be very fluent. That's why, obviously, Thomas, I brought you into situations where I needed some additional lift there. But bringing back, the car wash terms, it's kind of like, this is kind of like your greeter or your salesperson at the car wash. And, you have someone up front to portray the business and how, it should be represented and received by the customer, but also to provide that education on that context. Really, that's kind of what the website plays in this role. But just bringing that online, you only have a greeter at the car wash a couple hours a day. Bringing that back to the website to be on 24/7 for you is really powerful. So that's my comment there.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Yeah, I mean, that's something I find myself talking about, every so often, is how your website is basically your salesman that's working 24/7, right? And you want it to be an accurate representation of your brand. So yeah, that's a great call out. Really quick, hitting on some common pitfalls before we move on to the next area of the big three. So superficial SEO. If you think that you or your team or whoever you're working with right now is really just scratching the surface, you're not alone. It's a very common pitfall that, people really aren't dedicating the necessary time and expertise into their website's SEO. Another common pitfall is neglecting your Google My Business listing. So just because you have it doesn't mean that it's doing everything it needs to do. You need to make sure that all the information's up to date. You need to make sure, and the reason I say that is, and this is like an interesting part of just technology in general, Google is adding new features and functionalities to your Google My Business listing constantly, like new boxes you can check and new functionalities and features. So like pricing is an example where you can now list out all your packages and your pricing on Google My Business listing, and they'll show that to people in what are called rich snippets. So basically it's like when you search something, they may give like a carousel of your pricing, right? And if you're the only business that has that, then that's awesome. You stand out in your market. So you want to make sure you're staying on top of your Google My Business listings. Another big thing that we do a ton of is tracking performance. So, you don't want to fly blind. You don't just want to aimlessly wander around in today's digital landscape. You want to track and you want to monitor and you want to make sure that what you're doing is working. It seems like a no-brainer, but you just want to make sure that you're tracking these things. And then another just big one is a slow or a bloated website, right? Having a website that loads very, very slow is really bad for SEO. It's a very common thing. Oftentimes web developers just kind of slap on big images, slap on big videos, don't think twice about it. When they're developing the website, they may have like 500 megabytes per second internet, right? But that doesn't mean that everyone does. So they need to be cognizant of the fact that someone that's driving down the road with only 2 bars needs to be able to, pull your website up quickly as well. So those are all common pitfalls. We see them all the time, and definitely things to be aware of.
Yeah, and one thing too, I'll add to that, Thomas, is for example, I know business hours is this way. I'm not. You're probably more of an expert on this. But like, for example, business hours. If you're not updating your Google My Business, people can do it for you. That was one of the biggest issues, that we had, and my team in a previous world, we had 150 different Google My Business accounts. Keeping those updated was a pain in the butt. And if you're not on top of it, customers will recommend that your hours be changed because they see that you're closed due to maintenance or various issues, or even competitors that just aren't very nice. So either you stay on top of it or someone else will for you.
Absolutely. Awesome. So moving over to engaging customers. So this is the second part of the big three. So this is when you're dominating the search rankings. You're ranking number 1 for all the different searches you want to rank for. You're getting a lot of people coming to your site. Now the goal is we want to make sure they're finding what they need to find as quickly as they can. They're having a pleasant experience, which is then ultimately going to lead to the third step, which is them converting. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. So speaking to engaging customers. So mobile-friendly design. I would be willing to bet that most of your traffic is probably 80% mobile by now. So you have to make sure that your website loads quickly on mobile. That's again a non-negotiable. You have to have a website that's loading quickly on mobile. It has to be laid out well, right? It has to be easy to navigate. If someone is coming to your website looking for something, they need to be able to find it pretty much immediately. High quality photography, videography, again, smiling faces, a personal touch, actual photos of your properties instead of, stock photos. Accessibility is a big one, making sure that things aren't too small so people can, tap on them properly and read the text and all that kind of stuff. So those are all big things here. And it leads me to, the image that's showing here. So this is a staple that we build into all of our websites. This is what we call the mobile doc. And the goal of the mobile doc is to basically when someone lands on the site, it's instantly intuitive, right? They know exactly where they can find various things, various important things. So you can see here, if you look closely at that image, you'll see that mobile doc in the bottom of your screen. The user's thumb is always down there, right? So no matter where they scroll on the website, they're going to be a millisecond away from moving their thumb and tapping that. It's no different than if you're on any app on your phone. If you're on Google Maps or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, you're going to have the exact same bar down there. So showcasing your locations is a really important thing that you should be doing down there. I would probably argue that most people may know your locations, right? Because they're passing it on like their day-to-day route. But for the people that don't know where all your locations are, it's important to have that down there. Another one would be signing up for membership. So you can see that's that highlighted button there in the middle. Always just one quick tap away. And I think that third one there is promotions, right? So having a really easy way for people to view active promotions you have going on. And then you can see just below that, we actually have a fixed promo bar, right? So if you're running a certain promo, we have clients that are running promos every single month. They're running some sort of seasonal campaign every single month. Valentine's Day, St. Patty's Day, April Fools, whatever it may be, right? So having that in front of the user at all time is a really important user experience, right? Making sure that that's always in front of them there. And then towards the top of the image, you'll see the Google reviews call out, right? So establishing your credibility pretty much instantly. As soon as they land on the page, they can see that you're not just some Joe Schmo car wash with 2 reviews. They can see that you're top tier there. So important to establish that credibility immediately as well. Braxton, over to you.
Yep. Yeah, you'll probably hear a little bit about this later in the presentation as well. But just being able to make sure that customers get questions answered, before someone else answers them for you. You're likely not always going to be the only car wash website that someone goes to. You want to always be the first car wash that they go to, obviously for SEO reasons, but then think about, where are they going to go after that? If they go to your website, get whatever they want accomplished and don't have to go in further, that's going to be a benefit for you, whether that's for e-commerce conversion and they're looking to buy today, whether they're looking for information. Whoever's most transparent and accomplishes the mission of the visitor is who's going to come out successful there.
Yeah, and that's an awesome point. One of the very first questions that we ask when we kick off a project is, what is it that you're wanting from this, right? So, and sometimes that takes extraction. We have to extract that from the person we're meeting with. But a common one for a car wash operator may be, I want to sell more of our highest memberships, right? So what that does is that informs our decision making moving forward from a design and a layout and a development point of view. Is we want to make sure that the high tier memberships are the values are accentuated. We want to make sure that they stand out above all the other memberships. So it's a great point of knowing like why the person's coming to the site and making sure that you make your decisions based on that. Really quick before we move to converting customers, common pitfalls. So with the UX, with the UX, so having a really cluttered website or really confusing design is not good. You're going to be kind of alienating various people. They're going to have a hard time finding what they need to find. The just kind of lack of polish and refinedness and just visual cohesion. A lot of people will just like haphazardly slap sections onto their website and not think twice about it. So really just keeping everything polished, refined, and everything cohesive. And then really just in general, having a really bad mobile experience is you're just shooting yourself in the foot. You're losing people constantly if you just have a really poor mobile experience. So definitely common pitfalls, things that we see over and over again. So things to just be on the lookout for and address as quickly as you can. Cool. All right. So moving on to the last part of the big 3 would be converting customers. So you're ranking number 1, you're getting tons of traffic, people land on the site, they love what they see, they know they want to do business with you. Now we have to make it as easy as possible for them to become a member, right? Or come to a location and generate revenue for you. So first thing I'm going to hit on again is, it's actually not listed here, but it's a must-have. It's a golden common thread between all of the big 3, which is speed and navigation. So making sure the website loads quickly, making sure it's very easy to navigate. Showing off promos and urgent deals. So, basically we talked about this in the previous slide, but make sure those promos are always a tap away or showcased to people and not necessarily lost in the clutter of all the other stuff that may be on your website. Establishing your credibility is another thing that we talked about in the previous slide. So, showcasing reviews, showcasing awards, telling people that you were awarded the best car wash, those are all things that help people make their subconscious purchasing decisions. Another thing is clear pricing and clear membership benefits. So I know that a lot of car wash operators have like their menus, right? Like when you're pulling in, you see the pricing menus. It's very rare that their website also lists it out like that. It always surprises me. Like I pull into my local car wash and I see this big, beautiful menu, and I'll take a picture of it and I'll send it to my team and I'll be like, why is this not on the website? Like that's what, it looks beautiful here, that we need to kind of transition that vision onto the website as well. So it's not the easiest thing to do because there's oftentimes a lot of content on there and a lot of visuals and, with mobile devices, right, you've got smaller screen real estate. So those are all things to be aware of. But, pricing is really important, and the perks packages are very important. So again, this goes back to what I was talking about of if the end goal is to sell more of your high-end memberships, then making sure that your high-end memberships are visually dominant and really showcased on your website really well. So those are all things to keep in mind. The next and probably one of the most important aspects of this entire thing would be the seamless signups, right? So you can't fumble that part, because then everything up to that point is moot. So this is really where Rinse comes in, and where they really shine is having the embedded forms, having the native ways for people to seamlessly sign up for a membership. And then from there, right, Braxton, it just kind of goes they're in the system, everything is then automated, and it's an excellent user experience from there.
Yeah. I mean, due to the APIs that we have with the POS brands, everything is completely seamless. Just some high level stats that I'll kind of start off with is, so far this year we've had over 3 million customers of our partners' customers visit a Rinse checkout form and signed up over 120,000 memberships. So we've done a lot of volume with this. We've seen everything from an enterprise level to mid-market to small business. There's a lot of opportunity in e-commerce that not a lot of operators really are tapping into. There's still a significant amount of people that I see day to day that just haven't yet turned things on. It's obviously, as a sales pitch, it's pretty easy. That's kind of all I'll say there. But as far as how does it break down into sales at your business? Here's the average percentage of online sales that were driven so far in 2025. Whenever you have enterprise, mid-market, most of our customers are seeing somewhere between 4 and 7% of their total membership sales come through a Rinse checkout form. In small business, think of yourself as an entrepreneur. If you just have 1 to 2, 3 locations, our customers are seeing up to 11%. Actually, that's the average. 11% of their membership sales come through a Rinse checkout form. So think about what that 11% could do and why e-commerce may be an option. That's kind of my plea there. But then also think about what's the common things that I hear. In my role, I get to work with hundreds of operators. The number one things I hear is, we're a brick and mortar business. They still have to wash their car at our facility, and they still have to come and get the RFID tag if you guys are not LPR. You still have a lot of opportunity online, because you can recreate the spontaneity of impulse purchasing online through promotions. There's the same sort of, I guess, psychological warfare that can go on to get someone to convert online versus in store. So that opportunity, again, is definitely there. But many customers decide on a car wash membership spontaneously. If they can buy online, they're going to. And the key there is they're going to before they see other options. Like I mentioned before, you're probably not going to be the first car wash they see. If you're in a larger metropolitan area, you have competition. They're not Googling, Joe's Car Wash. They're Googling probably car wash near me, or car wash membership, or, nearest car wash, whatever. That's how they're getting there. 1, SEO gets you to the top, but 2, if they click on your website first, you're able to convert. You take the guessing game and the rest of the delegation of that decision off the customer. They've already made their decision. Even if they see another car wash website or a Meta Google ad down the road, they've already made a purchase and their mind's already made. So that's good. Think about how some of the other larger industries are going into e-commerce transactions. Think of your traditional big box brick and mortar, Walmart, Lowe's, Home Depot, but also think of like quick service restaurants. Also, McDonald's, Taco Bell, airports are the big example that I always give. If you're going from A to B, for example, as a car wash, you're probably the B location in an A to C commute. You have to be in the middle of where they're coming from and going to. They want convenience brought into that, and allowing them the option of how they interact with your business is what's going to be key there. Just letting them choose how they want to interact with you. If you have customers that prefer to buy things online, I think in my family, we subscribe to most household items through Amazon. You don't have to always go to the store and get things. So having that convenience, people know that when they go to the site, it'll be easier. What that flow looks like, that's a really good selling point. And then just some final general tips that I have, and again, Thomas kind of hit on these. All e-commerce checkout should be 2 clicks or less from wherever that customer lands on your website first. Ideally 1 click or on the same page. Sometimes that's a little easier said than done when you visualize things. But making it quick and easy. Don't always assume that every visitor to your site is going to land on the homepage. Think about if your SEO rankings are correct. If they're Googling about car wash near me, that may open up a locations page. with a list of your locations but ranked on proximity to the user. They're Googling, hey, I want a car wash that has graphene, or what's this whole ceramic thing? They're probably going to go to your products and your packages page. Wherever that user ends up on the website, 1 to 2 clicks from that needs to be a call to action to check out. You'll see some examples here in a minute that Thomas and I will kind of talk through, but that'll kind of put, I guess, a visualization to where I'm going with that. But yeah, just my plea is just make it easy. If they're going to your website in the first place, they're going there for a reason. They're not going there really to be curious, unless a competitor is snooping you out. But if they're going there to look up, where's a car wash, what's in a car wash, how does this process work, they're wanting, or at least considering, to give you money. My suggestion is make it as easy as possible to lock in that conversion and do the transaction on the side.
Those are great points. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys so much for those insights on the big three. At this point, let's jump into critiquing some sample websites. So we have 3 sample car wash websites to share with you all. And our experts, Braxton and Thomas, are going to point out exactly what's working in these websites and where they could use some room for improvement. So let's get into website number 1 first.
Awesome. So I'm going to kind of introduce a concept here that will effectively be like bad, better, best, if that helps, people follow along. So, basically based on the 3 things that we've talked about today, or the three aspects of big 3, you'll see different bits and pieces of that through here. So, when I look at this website, I see a few different things, or better yet, I don't see several things. So first thing that stands out to me is the cheesy photography, right? Like that is a photo that doesn't do a great job representing the business. It's just stock photo, you can tell. So that's the first thing that stands out to me. The next thing would be like uninspired text, I would say, right? So get your car washed with us. Sounds very robotic, doesn't sound very personable, doesn't do a great job, highlighting your brand, your value, anything like that. And then it's really missing a lot. So this site is missing a lot of the things that we've talked about. So highlighting promotions, powerful CTAs, building your credibility, right? Those are all things that this website is not really hitting on, that based on what we've talked about are having a negative impact on your overall performance.
Yeah, I agree with that. The image, when I first seen these examples, the image is what stuck out to me. I see this quite often, and a good example last week was, if you're an express car wash, having pictures of people using, polisher wheels and, yellow sponges and water hoses, washing their car at home on an express car wash website, it's a little bit counterproductive to what you're trying to get the consumer to do. Again, we're trying to persuade them to enjoy the convenience of a 3-minute wash in and out, and it just be frictionless for them. They don't have to get out supplies, do anything, but you're basically promoting the opposite on the side. So I see that a lot because a lot of car wash owners, they're not tech savvy website people, and I know that because I was one, and I have been for most of my career, frankly. And they go to a vendor and they're like, "Hey, I have a car wash and I want a website for it." And if you don't have a good partner, Thomas is a great example of someone who kind of gets who they're serving, but they'll just pull out generic car wash images out of like Adobe stock, and that's what you get, and then it looks good, so that's okay. This is just the tool that basically, if you see Rinsed as a tool, to be, your e-commerce engine, your CRM, the website is the way that gets out into the world. So where our iframes are embedded on these sites, this is really what sets, the mediocre to the best in class apart.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so website number 2, I would call this better. So you can see it's starting to do things a little bit differently, starting to do things a little bit better. Images, right? You now have a car wash image, right? Instead of a man in waders holding a pressure washer. So, images are a little bit better. You've got a little bit of, just design flair with, the water wave coming in here. You've got a little bit better text, a little bit more, like powerful, not as robotic text, your trusted local car wash experts. You've got better CTAs, right? These buttons, you've got the buy membership button, the view locations button. That's so much more clear and explicit than just get started. So, this is starting to do things right, but it's still lacking several things, which we'll see in the third example here. So based on my experience, a lot of websites that we see would fit into this bucket here, right? Which is they're doing some things right, but there's still a lot of opportunity, especially like low-hanging fruit type of opportunity that is still out there that they haven't done yet. So those are all things to keep in mind as we transition to this next slide, and you kind of see the difference there.
Yeah, and my take on this is website should be something that you revisit. I would say every, you can do it as often as every month, which is kind of what I've done in my past. It's not really a sit it, forget it situation. It's a sit it and forget it for, a couple months. But at least, quarterly, you need to check in on your site and make improvements, incremental improvements, and just get a little bit better each time. But to Thomas's point, this is 100% where the bulk of car wash websites are today. Improvements over the last one is obviously the image is a car wash, and ideally this is not a stock photo. This is actually your facility that highlights what you do and what you offer, and it looks appealing. But then number two, my eyes always go to the buy membership button. The previous one just had membership. I think that putting the customer in a better situational awareness of, hey, which you'll see on the next one, become a member. Give a better call to action description than just, hey, here's a reference point for information about the memberships. It really doesn't allude to, hey, you can actually, make a purchase or get some offers. So that's where I go. The next one, though, I know we have a lot more to say about it.
Yeah, so this would be an example of a website that, I would probably say is higher tier. A lot more attention has been paid to certain elements on this website. And it does a lot of the things that we've talked about throughout today's slide. So I'll just kind of list them out here. So you've got the promo bar at the top. You have some urgency, which I think I missed speaking about earlier. But, with your promos, like countdown timers are not a difficult thing to build. If that's an aspect of the promos that you're running, right, and there's a timeliness nature to it, you should have countdowns on your website. They should always be available. They should always be visible. People should see them and be motivated to take that action. You've got the credibility in the bottom right corner, right? So you're showcasing your reviews, your 5-star rating, 1,000+ reviews. Those are important things that, again, help people subconsciously making their purchase decisions. Then over in so the image is the same, I think. So, again, like Braxton said, it's a step in the right direction, but in a perfect world, it's your car wash. It's, high-end personal photos of either smiling people or clean cars or both. And then, for the buttons here, your actions, you've got, clear differentiation between, the button that you want to get the most visual attention versus the other two secondary ones. So, the time and energy and discussion and thought and planning went into, what's listed on this page here, which is quite a bit different than what the previous pages are doing. So this is kind of where we will set our benchmark, right? Of let's pay attention to the average consumer that's going to be on the website. Let's pay attention to what the operator is wanting to get out of their website, and then let's make sure that those data points dictate the decisions and the designs and the various way that we implement things.
Yeah, and to the countdown timer, Thomas, I know that I would say that you've built over 50 for me before in previous worlds. The impact of that, guys, was anywhere from 9 to 12% lift on the overall dollars from that promotion, just driven through the urgency, frankly. I am a person that I think that you don't always have to tell people when a promotion ends. Just basically your claim is, hey, our promotion is guaranteed. This price is guaranteed at least through today. And I would always, have countdown timers to midnight that night. And then we would say, hey, do we want to revisit this or extend it? Same thing with grand openings. Think of your free wash weeks during grand openings. Think of how long, if you're running a founder's plan or a couple month special. I've never announced the date that ends. I've just had a number in my head. And whenever I feel like we're there, we're there. And that urgency in turn is going to get you to your goal quicker. So I'm a big believer in the countdown timer and different components like that. But also think about, your number 1 and 2 who your website's built for. Your website's built for prospects of your business, potential customers, number one. So your largest call to action buttons is obviously to sign up for the first time. Another example that's equally as powerful is contact collection for a free car wash. If you're trying to get phone and email, that's the place to put it as well. The number two is to serve your existing customers. So don't forget about, the 5,000 members you have at your car wash that's already paying you $44 a month. Take care of them too. So if they're coming to your website, they're probably wanting a way to manage their membership. And in the modern age that we have today, they know that it should be there, and making it easy for them to find is always a plus. But also, think about the value propositions of having a update your membership option. If you can have a good flow like through the rents portal or through some of our customer management forms to upgrade members, you can drive additional revenue from that stuff. A phone number is worth dollars to every business. And just getting contacts as well. So just think about this as not being visually pleasing as much as it is. This actually generates revenue while you're sleeping. That's the way that I put it.
Awesome. Thank you guys for those awesome insights on these websites. That's going to bring us now into our Q&A section. So we do have some questions in the chat. I'll read them out to you guys, and feel free to jump in. So the first question is there a difference in regards to SEO if your business hours are being displayed via an embed code versus statically on the website as text? Thomas, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, that's a great question. So business hours are a great example of where we will use schema, which is a word that I mentioned earlier. So this is metadata that the robots are seeing and reading, but is not necessarily visual on the website. So there's a specific schema for operating hours that bots look for when they come to your website. So that is important to have on there. And that is, I would say that an embed does not offer that. I'm not sure what the embed platform is or what their capabilities are. But a must for websites is having your operating hours in the schema data, which again is serving it to the bots on a silver platter. For operating hours, I actually had a conversation with a client about this yesterday. Operating hours is an interesting one because that I would probably say that Google uses the operating hours on your Google My Business listing as probably the highest priority, right? If someone says, hey, Google, what are my car wash's operating hours? I would be willing to bet that Google's probably going to pull them from the Google My Business listing instead of your website. But again, one of the things that we talked about, NAP, is name, address, phone, and that extends as well to other things like operating hours. Is just making sure that they're uniform across all the different places so that Google doesn't get confused or Apple doesn't get confused, right? They know that the data is the same across all of them, and then they can give a confident answer. Hopefully that answers that question to some capacity.
Great, thank you. Next question is, we have a lot of trouble getting Apple Business Manager to push through edits that we see on our end's back office as published, but we also have issues with getting things approved in general. What do you recommend we do to make those changes happen? And two, is that affecting our SEO if our Google and our website match without Apple matching?
I would probably say yes, it is having a negative impact on the SEO. It's a great example of if Google Maps has one bit of information, but Apple Maps has a different bit of information. To me, those are two legitimate sources with contradicting information, and that is causing issues somewhere, whether it's in Apple Maps or Google Maps, or AI is ingesting those two data platforms and then giving wrong answers out. So I think it's important to try to get those uniform and squared away. Getting updates approved through Google My Business has been a bane of my existence for the last year. It's sometimes very challenging. A lot of their decision making is AI driven and bot driven, right? If you submit a request, you immediately get denied, even though you're saying, hey, I'm a car wash. It's saying, no, we don't think you're a car wash. It's very frustrating. So really the best thing that you can do is just kind of skip a lot of the trying over and over and over again and just create a ticket, a support ticket, try to get a human on the other end of that support ticket and explain to them the issue, ask them exactly what it is that's preventing Google or Apple from accepting your request and dealing with it that way. That is typically how we're having to deal with those situations. over the last year or so.
Awesome. Next question. Do you either of you know if there is a video tutorial on how to add packages to Google that you would potentially recommend?
I'm not sure of a video. I could probably find one. I do know. So if you were to go into your Google business listing, which, if you're logged into your Google account, you should be able to go to, I believe it's business.google.com, and you'll see your listings on there. And I'm a big proponent of just kind of like clicking around and exploring. So like if you were to go in there and you were to click on like view my profile or edit my profile, you'll see what I was referencing earlier, which is like new features and functionalities that Google's adding. So you should see products, you should see pricing on there, you should see the place to add photos and descriptions and all that kind of stuff. So I would just kind of say, if you're the one managing your profile, go in there and kind of click around and look around. If not, if you're not really technical or you're not managing that, feel free to reach out and see if we can help you with that, if I'm allowed to say that. But yeah, so that's, again, it's one of those things that just popped up in the last few months, is being able to add that type of data and information. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Thomas. Next question is, which specific area of the customer engagement pipeline do you believe is the most ripe for AI-driven transformation in the near term? For example, predictive pipeline forecasting, lead qualification, etc.
That is a stout question. I would probably, so my opinion is probably biased, which is going back to what we talked about earlier with SEO. To me, I think that is where AI will play the biggest part in customer pipeline. We've seen some really awesome success on our end where I could say like, I could go to ChatGPT and say, click the little box that says search the internet for this, and say, what plumber should I use for this specific issue? And one of our client websites will pop up. It'll say, we recommend this company for this, right? So as a technical person, computer science background, being in the world of tech, it's what I do day in and day out. I think that initial touch point is going to be the biggest place where AI can transform your customer pipeline. And that's why it's such an important thing. I spoke to it briefly at the beginning. The reality is it's kind of new, right? We're only like 18 months into like having like a critical mass to see how AI is working. But it wouldn't surprise me if 5 years from now, if 50% of decisions that are made online started via AI instead of started via Google search, right? So to me, I would say that's probably the biggest way that AI will impact customer pipeline.
Yeah, 100%. I'm aligned with that. Even like today, default browser on my phone is ChatGPT.
Yep, I love that.
Googling things no more. For now, we'll see. We'll have a ChatGPT My Business account that we'll have to talk about this next year.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Awesome. We have one final question. I know we're coming up on time, but just a super quick last one. Do we need to advertise on Google My Biz to improve SEO? If so, how much?
Google states very clearly that advertising CPC does not directly impact your SEO. You can't buy your way to the top of ranking #1 organically. What they do say, however, and what makes sense to me, is that it can indirectly impact your SEO in a positive way. So what that would mean is that if you were showing ads, your name is front and center more often than it would be if you were not showing ads. That's getting you name recognition, right? Your name is in front of more people than it otherwise would be. Down the road, a few days, weeks, months later, people are searching your name, right? And in the aggregate, more people searching for your business online has a positive impact on your SEO. So to answer that question directly, no, running Google My Business ads does not impact your SEO directly, but it can indirectly. Kind of difficult to measure it indirectly. It is today's conversation is not about digital marketing, but I know the previous one was. Digital marketing, when done right, and measured properly works, right? So advertising on Google My Business on Google Maps is a great way to do that, especially if you're in a crowded market where there may be 5 other car washes. If you want to increase the people coming to your location, showing ads on maps is going to be a really great way to do that.
Yeah, and I have some experience with that, before, and I've seen a couple of our partners that we have today that have great success with it. So, anyone interested in that, be happy to chat with that and take that conversation further.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. So that is the end of our session. For everybody on our call today, if you're interested in learning some more ways that Rinse can help you grow your memberships, reduce churn, and keep customers coming back, please feel free to click the Get a Demo button on the top of your screen. I also want to give Braxton and Thomas the opportunity to share where you all can reach them. So I'll hand it over to you, Braxton, first.
Yeah, guys. Again, my role at Rinsed is to be the ultimate air support when it comes to e-commerce. If you're looking to sell more memberships online, generate additional revenue through free wash ads, through leads, any of that stuff, please just hit me up. My email's on the screen, or reach out through a CSM. If you reach out to me, I'll try my best to hop on the next call that you have with your CSM already this week or next. I've got some availability, so excited to chat through that. Anyone else that may not be a Rinse customer, grab yourself a demo, check that out. It's worth looking at. Trust me, it's been revolutionary for me as a marketer, as a salesperson, and someone in operations. It's been absolutely game changing enough that I'm here today. So yeah, Thomas.
Awesome. Yeah. Please feel free to reach out. My direct email is listed on here, thomas@makememodern.com. You can also go to our website, makememodern.com, and schedule time through the website. I would love an opportunity. Anyone on the call that is unsure about their website, right? They want to have a better idea of if they're doing absolutely everything they can be, if there's opportunities that are being missed. Those are free conversations. Those are, oftentimes very valuable conversations that we can have. So yeah, don't hesitate to reach out. Don't hesitate to schedule time through our website. And hopefully I get to connect with many of you soon and start helping you.
Fantastic. That is a wrap on today's session. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us. I hope you're walking away with some valuable insights that you can implement on your website. Enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
Thanks. Bye.